Hello guys, welcome back to another exciting edition of Business Connect. My name is Roy. If you're new to the channel, here we talk about things happening here in China. We talk about experts live in China, students live in China. And recently we've talked a lot about the whole issue of people coming back to China. In my past videos, I talked a lot about new visa policies and updates of the situation in China and also the global situation of the pandemic and when we think Chinese borders will be open. If you've noticed, I don't do videos about every single thing that happened because recently we've noticed that things change a lot. For example, the news is up today and in a few days it's something different. That's why the past few weeks have been characterized by conflicting and contradictory information about Chinese borders and the current situation of the pandemic. Because a few weeks ago it was clearly said that once the vaccination rate reaches 80%, it is likely that the borders will be open. But from the news that is going around now, there is no guarantee that once China will reach 80 to 85% of vaccination, they will open their borders. Because it has already proven that vaccination is not the ultimate remedy for the pandemic. Because we have seen a lot of cases where people who are vaccinated are still infected with the virus. So the country is continuing to pursue its zero tolerance approach, which means that they are not only going to consider vaccination as a yardstick to determine whether the borders will be open or not. Welcome back. So, not to make the video a very long and boring one, I'll be talking about two major things today. And the first one is about four updates of visa policies that will take effect from this November. And also, I'll also give an important message, an important piece of advice to my international students out of China. Okay, so let's start with the visa policies. In October, I did a video where I talked about 6 visa policies that were implemented in the month of October. And so we are now in November, and I'll be bringing you 4 visa policies that will be implemented this November in China. The first visa policy says that foreigners with valid residence permit who are out of China will no longer need a PU letter to come back to China. They only need a negative nucleic acid test and a negative antibody blood test. And also vaccination is not a must. The reference to this can be found in the Chinese embassy website of the United States and the United Kingdom. The second visa policy is about changing work permit districts through an agency's account. And it says very clearly here that companies can no longer change work permit districts via agency's account in the Foreign Affairs Bureau in some areas. And it says, according to our experience, Shanghai's Foreign Affairs Bureau don't allow companies to change work permit districts through agency's account in the Foreign Affairs Bureau in some areas. And a company needs to have registered for more than 1 year. Also, a real office address is required. The third policy is about changing from business visa to student visa. You know, before people could change from business visa to student visa, but recently agencies have realized that it's becoming very difficult, especially in tier 1 cities, to change from business visa to student visa. This is a policy that just started this November, where agencies started facing a lot of difficulties to apply for student visa from business visa. Maybe in other tier 2 or tier 3 cities it might happen, but in big cities like Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen and so on, they have already realized that it's becoming difficult to change from business visas to student visa. The fourth visa policy says that foreigners can now apply for new work permit without having a release letter from their companies or from their previous companies. Yeah, before it was very difficult for foreigners to apply for a new work permit without having a release letter from your company. But now you don't need a release letter as long as you have an arbitration receipt from the labor office, which means that if you give your complaint to the labor office that your company is not allowing you to leave or they are not giving you a release letter, with that arbitration receipt from the labor office, you can use that to apply for a new work permit without any problem, and that policy starts this November. And also, before I finish this part of visa policies, families also were able to apply for PU letters in the past month in October and in November to enter China. There is something that a lot of people don't understand here. PU letters now are meant for those who don't have residence permit, which means that you're coming to China afresh. You've never been to China, so you don't have a valid residence permit. So you need a PU letter. But those who already have a valid residence permit, who were in China before leaving, now they don't need a PU letter. They just need a negative nucleic acid test and an antibody test, and they don't even need to be vaccinated. It's not a must. But when we say these things, we are not the visa office, we are not the government. It's always good to do more verifications from your embassy and get more instructions from your company. Yeah, so I'm just making this disclaimer here because when we make analysis like this, or when we say things on videos, people come back and say, oh, you said last month, or you said in your recent video that students or people can, or visitors can come back to China in September, in November. Why this now? Like I said, we are not the government, we are not the lawmakers, we are not the policy makers. And also, the situation is also becoming very complicated now that even the lawmakers, even the policy makers, they don't even know what will happen next. Okay, so now let's talk about international students. We've made a lot of projections and most of our projections have failed. Most of us believe that by the end of this year, 2021, students would have already been able to return to China, but it has not been the case. And our projections of March or September next year are still hanging. So my advice for you international students is that look at your options. Look at the options that you have in hand. If you have no other option apart from China or Chinese universities, then at this time you have no choice than just to be patient, continue your online classes and wait. But if you have options, whether in your country or in other countries, a lot of countries are opening up. Japan just opened up. Indonesia is opening up. Malaysia, a lot of countries are opening up. So my advice for you is to look at your options. Most of these countries that are opening up now will have a lot of opportunities for international students. Check other universities, check other countries, and move on with your life. But if you think you have no options, or if you think you just have to wait on China, then you have to be patient. Just continue with your online classes. Those who are doing practicals, those who are doing things that they need to go to the lab, at this level also you have no option than to wait. And also take care of your mental health, do some exercise, don't think a lot about it, don't just be moving from one social media platform to the other, waiting for the next news, or just like being so anxious, because this will only hurt your mental health. That notwithstanding, while we hope that by March or September 2022, a few students might be able to start returning to China as test, we wish you all the best as you wait. This is Business Connect. I'll see you in our next video. Peace out and bye-bye.